Hey, everybody. Drew Witt from Wittworks is our guest tonight. He's going to be with us in about 10 minutes. If you're watching this on replay, you may want to fast forward about 10 minutes and catch Drew. Or if you're with us live, you can enjoy the countdown. Thanks for being here. We're going to make Mondays great.
It's kind of learning as I was building. I was like, I can share what I'm learning. And of course, the first videos were pretty bad. And hopefully I'm getting better as
just buying that software isn't what makes the difference. You've got to learn to use that tool, just like you've got to learn to use your high-end Powermatic woodworking tools or Festool for Sedge out there.
So I think you got to kind of leverage all of it.
And I just realized this is a new camera. I didn't take off the protective plastic over it, so I don't know if that was blurry or not for you. Oops.
Oh, hey, look at that.
In your little intro, which was very well put together, as I was sitting backstage and you had all these little clips from your previous guests. There was lots of good information in there, but somebody mentioned, just finding that thing that you love and do the thing you love. Don't make things that you don't like making.
In terms of growing a business, especially a business where you make things, is make the things you want to sell. I want to say Brad Rodriguez said this many times a while back, where it's like, if you don't want to sell cutting boards, stop making cutting boards. If you want to sell tables, make some tables and sell them at a loss if you have to, just to get some tables out there you sold. You attract clients that you can show you've actually made a thing. If you're trying to sell couches, don't keep making coasters telling people you can make couches. Make some couches.
A lot of times, usually when people start out on YouTube or when they're building a YouTube channel, they'll feel like their energies, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, they'll feel like they're at like an 8 or a 9, and they'll be like, woohoo! But then when they actually watch themselves on camera, it's actually more like a 2 or 3.
We do take sponsors, especially as a lot of the smaller channels. And there's two ways they talk about sponsorship. Sponsorship is someone paying you to do something, and the other one is getting free tools and stuff.
Launch day is my favorite day. That is my favorite day of the week. I just absolutely love launching videos and getting the feedback. So yeah, that's most videos take 4 to 5 full days to make. And I would like to streamline that. I would like to put out more videos in a week.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough, but I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for stage.
One thing I'm good at probably more than anything else is business and understanding the way businesses work and how to run a business. And I always come from very much the money ball approach. I don't want to hit home runs. I just want to get on base and get on base and get on base.
And I think it's easier for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story and think that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
I like the premise of doing a tool review, comparing two tools, and especially if they are popular tools.
You can make the life you want to, you can make the business you want to, whatever it is you want to make.
It wasn't like YouTube's good and this and that. Like I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that was sustainable long term, and so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at, and it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for potentially the rest of my life.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think that all of my content needs to go where I am.
It's a lot of risk and fear, but moving through those deliberately.
So there's a system to it, and you follow that system.
So what have you learned and done to try to change? And so that's the thing I always do is it's a continuous process of evolution.
Scheduling and trying to edit and get a video out, like it's really hard to follow exactly. If you do that and do it consistently, it'll generate views.
Interesting, a lot of times you might see channels or businesses that are frustrated because they're not growing, and you look and you realize that for years or dozens of iterations, you look at the most recent and you go back a few years or a few dozen iterations and there's zero change.
I'd like to see channels evolve into more of like a channel, like we're traditional like TV channel, where you have a channel, but there's different shows within that channel. And, you know, you could have the segment for your shorts or your live streams and your longs, you know, all these different things. And people can kind of just pick and choose what they want to watch.
And my goal isn't to get the most views on YouTube. My goal is, you know, to provide confidence, inspiration, and knowledge through entertaining and engaging content. So
what's the next step? What is the next thing? What's going to get you to that next place?
You got to get them to click. You got to get them to watch. I'm terrible at thumbnails. I hate doing them. I would stress so bad over doing them. I've actually hired somebody else to do them now. That's why they look different. I'm not doing them anymore. I took that out of my hands, and I'm stress-free on that part.
Another thing is also onboarding people that are better than me at something. So I have an editor I've been working with for about 2 years now.
One day it just kind of hit me that, okay, I watch a lot of these videos and I obviously find value in them. Why can I not be the person on the other side of the camera, right? Providing the content and the information.
With me being a business-minded individual and trying to make sure that I'm providing for my family, but also always growing.
Our audience smells authenticity, and whether or not you're enjoying what you do very easy.
I'll always be that individual that loves YouTube, that always wants to do extremely detailed videos on how to build.
I feel like the biggest challenge is probably getting yelled at to put on protective.
I'm still focused on my woodworking. I'm focused on trying to get better. I just want to try new things and break barriers and just be the best woodworker I can be, and then document that. I just don't really have the time or desire to really become a student of YouTube. So I'm always playing catch up. I'm always just doing the best I can to get the most out of what we're doing, but I am no student of YouTube, that's for sure.
A good plan of attack is to create a channel on YouTube or an account on YouTube that you don't have any ties to. You've never watched anything on there, and just start watching content you're interested in on that channel. Don't watch the news, or don't click off and start watching, you know, the latest episode or whatever. Just use that account strictly for that, and that'll kind of start jumping up what's being surfaced to people. And then from there, you can kind of,
you know, as far as equipment goes, and I say this adamantly all the time, there is nothing I've ever made that I couldn't make by hand. You know, and I have a skill set that I've developed that I could make it by hand. Does having a CNC make it faster? You bet it does.
The big change that I've seen is that people have gotten even shorter attention spans than normal. So if you are going to start a YouTube channel and you're going to start recording yourself working, keep the pace really, really fast. People get bored super quick, and when they get bored, they either start tapping those arrow keys to speed through the video, or else they'll just drag the slider across the screen so that they can speed through and skip to the end and see what you've built. But if you want to engage them throughout the whole video, you've got to keep the pace really, really fast.
basically structure your channel so that you generate more views. They watch one video, they're going to watch the next, the next, the next. If you look, and you can tell the difference in I can see it in my analytics. I can see it in the way my channel's structured.
The first thing that I would recommend to anybody, and this of course applies to any niche that you're looking to start a channel for, is before you even take the first steps in terms of researching and all that, which we'll talk about in a second, I would have a really honest conversation with yourself about what you're looking to get out of the channel and what your expectations are.
As a rule of thumb, post-production takes 6 times recorded footage length. Not shoot time, but recorded footage length. So if you record a 5-minute clip. It's going to take you a minimum of 30 minutes to edit that 5-minute clip, even if you only edit down into 30 seconds, because you have to watch it, then you make some notes, and then you watch it again, you make some cuts, and you watch it again, and then when it fits into the timeline, by rule, you're going to see that same clip roughly 6 times.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Hey, it's Monday night. Hope everybody's doing great. We're going to try to make Monday nights great. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate our guest being here. We will introduce him very shortly. Let me just remind you, the chat is where it's at. Whenever you are talking amongst yourselves in the chat, I think you get more out of a live stream. I think you can enjoy it more. And I hope that you will participate in that. If you are having a milestone of any type, whether it be on YouTube or in your personal life, please put an M at the beginning of your chat comment so we can try to catch that. And if you have a question for our guest, please start your chat comment with a Q so it helps me identify them. Make sure that we try to get as many of those or all of those answered. Let me bring on our guest. Our guest has a fast-growing YouTube channel called Wittworks. His name is Drew Witt. Drew, how's it going?
Hey, is it working? Can you hear
me? It's working. I can hear
Nice.
you.
Good. Thanks for having me on.
No, I appreciate you coming on. To let everybody know what kind of humor you may expect, whenever I messaged Drew initially to ask him to come on, I listed all the other great guests we've had in the past. You know, we've had Matt from 731, we've had Cam from Blacktail Studios, I went on and on listing all the great creators that have been on this channel, and he simply replied, "I've never heard of any of those people." So, Drew, and then you took a little delay answering me after that, so I was like, "Wow, either I've got the wrong Woodworks or he's playing a joke." So yeah, that was great. I appreciate you.
Well, the truth there was we were 7 hours out of town, I think a day or two after Christmas, and I had the flu December 15th. I just recovered, and then we went to travel with family, and half our family got the flu from other people, and so our 14-month-old had just come down with the flu, and that day was one of the worst days in the world because you have an inconsolable 14-month-old. Did I say 14-year? The baby.
Yeah.
And he was not happy. And we were 7 hours away from home trying to find a place to take him. And that was lots of fun. So I was looking for a little spark of joy that day. So thanks for letting me mess with you.
No. I afterward, I thought it was hilarious. At first, I was like, I can't tell. Is he joking? It's hard to tell with the written word.
It is really, the tone's not there. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I enjoy a good joke. As people are gathering, Drew, you've got Wittworks, which has been on YouTube over a year now. Is that right?
I uploaded my first video February 1st, 2021. I remember it because I was working on it during President Biden's inauguration, and I paused in my workshop to see if anything was going to happen. If you remember, like they wouldn't let anyone in. There was like, is something going to go down? You know, that moment in our nation where everything was like terrible. I just remember that vividly, like stopping the jointer that I was working with, and I pulled up on my phone and I was like, what's happening? You know? And so I always remember the start of my channel was around that era of our history.
Well, you've grown. You're over 20,000 subscribers, and you have some videos with an incredible number of views on them. You're putting out some quality stuff. Now
Thank you.
On your channel banner, and you'll find my questions don't have necessarily a flow. We'll go with it however
It
it
doesn't
is,
bother
right?
me. I like it.
So
blessed are the flexible; they won't be broken.
There you go. We on your channel, you've got a quote there. It says, "Quality videos to help you build beautiful things with joy." And whenever I first saw that, I thought, joy is a word that is special to me. I mean, it's more than being happy. Why did you come up with that, and what led you to use that phrasing on your banner?
Yeah, good. Well, the backstory to that is I've served in church ministry for 20 years since I was 18. I'm 39. The last 10 years, I was a senior pastor of a church. I look young. I am young, but I don't know. I was way too young to do that. But COVID was really tough on us, and in March of this year, we had to close our church that I had planted for 10 years. So it was like the death of a child. It was pretty terrible and traumatic. And after we unwinded the church, June was a really tough. It was just a really tough season, worst season of my life. Nothing like having 3 kids and having at that time, I think maybe a 9-month-old, and then losing your job in your church, and wondering how am I going to feed these kids. And we had a friend, a close friend of ours, whose family has a cabin in Montana on Flathead Lake. I've never been to Montana, and he messaged me and he said, "Hey, Drew, we'd love to have you and your wife spend some time with us up in Montana in July." And that turned into what was originally 3 days turned into 3 weeks. They just said, "Hey, come stay with us." So I spent, while it was 110 here in San Antonio, I'm in South Texas, we were in a record drought. I was up in Montana with a puffy jacket on a lake making a fire every morning. It was so great. And I literally sat at the lake, like literally at the lake. The cabin is on the lake. My job for 3 weeks was just to make the fire and drink coffee. It was so good. And I just sat there and I was like, what am I supposed to be doing on this earth? Like, my identity as a pastor for 20 years has been taken. Do I want to go back into the church business? No. What do I want to do? And I just kind of started thinking back in my life. My earliest memories are me making things. My earliest memory, I think I was maybe 4 or 5. I'd be driving in the car. I'd see a billboard with my parents. I'm not driving. My parents are driving, right? In the back seat, I'd see a billboard. I'd come home and I'd get crayons and I would draw the billboard that I'd see. My parents were like, who is this kid? And in first grade, we had a class project. I made a robot out of cardboard boxes and dryer vent hoses. It didn't work. It just looked like a robot, like Johnny Five. Do you remember the movie Short Circuit? It looked like Johnny Five. My dad loved that. My dad loved that movie. So I made a Johnny Five, used I think it was a shoebox as the head, and then 2 toilet paper rolls as the eyes, and then the silver thing. Yeah. I've just always created things, and I've gotten such a joy out of that. I was sitting at the lake in July and just surrounded by natural beauty. And I thought, what gives me life is making things. They should be beautiful. Like, who sets out to make a piece of junk, Like when I see something that's beautifully made, like there's something inside of me that just fires off. And the process should be joyful, right? Like, who wants to go work in the workshop and it be, grinding, it should be a fun thing. And so I love making beautiful things and doing it with joy. But then I also, and that's kind of the pastor in me, I love to help people. I love to help and teach other people to do the same thing. So a friend of mine just challenged me. He said, "Hey, if I slammed you into an elevator and you had 30 seconds to tell a stranger what it is you do, you need to have that." And that is just what came out. And I thought, oh, that'll be a starter. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of lame. Do people like this? But it means something to me. So I don't know how marketable the phrase is, but that's my North Stars. If you boil everything down to what I do, I make things, whether that's like 3D printed tool accessories or videos. I make things to help other people build, be creative, beautiful things, and do it with joy. So I even see just being here with you. We had an early dinner. My wife has the kids, and it's like, hey, daddy gets to go help other makers build beautiful things to do it with joy. So I think if that's my North Star to kind of keep me on the straight and narrow in this season. I don't know. That's a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. I appreciate the insight. You know, it caught my attention because anytime I hear the word joy, I think about the things that bring us true joy in this world. And it's more than having fun. I mean, I can have fun by going bowling or shooting pool, but it's not the joy in my life. The joyful things in my life are, my family, being with my family, helping others, worshiping, the thing, whatever brings you joy on the inside. I think that's a personal thing, but it struck me that you used that wording because I don't hear the word enough. I don't hear people talk about what brings them joy. And I think
and our world needs more of that.
Yeah.
I need more of it,
Absolutely. It needs to be a joyful time, a joyful place. Yeah. And you are directing the attention to the viewer, that you're pointing out that these videos are to help you, the viewer, whoever is reading this, that's who they're for, so
yeah,
I think that is a good marketing thing. Too often on YouTube and other social media, it's about the person presenting, it's like, I want to show you how great my life is. I want to show you how great this turned out for me.
And it's a lie almost all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's easily deceived, right? That's deception can come out of that. But whenever we are service oriented, we're more likely to get something out of it ourselves. So whenever we try to do for others, we're more likely to get the reward as well. 100%. So it's a backwards concept, I know, but I think
I got that from a guy by the name of Donald Miller. I don't know if you've heard of him. Have you heard of Don Miller?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my word. Okay, this is worth whoever's tuning in, and if you run a business, Donald Miller. That's who you need to know. And it's basic story structure. If you did research on how humans have survived, story is how we got out of our tribes. Like when humans, there's like all this psychology around. For so long, people existed in tribes of, I think, 140 people. It's called Dunbar's number, I think is what it's called. But basically, like for so much of human history, like that's your tribe, 140 something. But when humans figured out how to tell narratives, you were able to you were able to like get large groups of people to go in the same direction. Okay. We're just hardwired for story, for narrative. Now, Donald Miller, I don't think he's pioneered it, but he's been able to communicate it, is we filter, there's so many messages that come at us every day just as a consumer. I forget the number. It's like tens of thousands every day of messages you get, maybe more. And what our brains are doing is we're filtering out all the junk, all the things that don't have to do with our survival. We threaten out. It's just noise. But when you come across something that says, hey, you have a problem and I can help you, you pay attention. And then when that person can articulate your problem to you faster and better than you can articulate it, you immediately go, you must know the answer. Take my money, right? People only give their time and attention and money to things that solve problems. I'm absolutely convinced that that's true. So Donald Miller has this framework called the story brand. It's kind of like, I don't know if that's the best name, but it basically, his job is to help people like us, like for me, to not play the hero. What you're talking about, these other people, they're like, hey, welcome to my channel. Here's what I did, blah, blah, blah. You're being the hero. The problem is everyone thinks they're the hero. And so just a very simple trick is choose to play the guide. Be Obi-Wan Kenobi, not Luke Skywalker. Right? Don't be Vader. So that channel banner is me saying, hey, I want to be, I don't think I am, but I want to be a Yoda or an Obi-Wan Kenobi to your Luke Skywalker. And I want to help you, and I want to encourage you, and I want to teach you how to use the Force and not cut your hand off at the table saw, right? So you can take that a million different directions, but I think the people who are successful have that approach of saying, I'm not the hero. I'm not Kim Kardashian. Like, I'm the person that can help come beside you and help you win the day. And I'm just going to help you and step out of the way. So that's kind of my approach to everything that I try to do. And that's what that banner is kind of all about.
Yeah. The concept of storytelling is essential in life and absolutely necessary with YouTube, right? I mean, if you're, if anyone's going to get any value out of it, there's got to be some kind of story. There's got to be some kind of narrative that interests people, and that story can be, like you said, anything from describing a problem and then providing a solution to, you know, a race against a clock or some of the common plots. So it's good stuff. So let's get a little background on you. I told you I'd bounce around a little bit. So you were talking about you've been a creator of sorts your whole life, but when did you really say, I'm going to get into this woodworking and making as an adult and really be full speed with it?
Well, yeah, my grandfather and my dad are my grandfather passed away, but I come from a family of like blue collar people. My dad's very, you know, he can do plumbing, electrical, you know, cleans his own pool. You know, just like he's very handy. I was never interested in that necessarily as a kid. But I think I had the gene. So when my wife and I got married in, you know, I think 2005, hope she's not watching this. I think it's 2005. We, you know, were dirt poor, and we were able to barely buy a house. And that is funny. The first, like, we got the keys. We were so excited. I've never told the story. It's kind of dumb, but it started everything. We're so excited. We were in this apartment where there is people above us, and they just walked so hard on the floor all the time, and we could never rest. And we got the keys on a Friday at like 4 p.m. And then by the time we got to the house, it was like 5:30, and we got in, and it was like, I think we brought maybe a air mattress or something, and we were going to sleep in the house with none of our stuff, but we were going to do it because it was our house, right? We go to like flush the toilet, and there's no water. And I go to call the water department, and it's Friday at like 6. And I'm like, oh man, we never called to turn the water on. So I called my dad. I'm like super bummed. He's like, you know, they probably just turned it off at the street. Why don't you go? So I go to the street. I don't know what I'm doing. I pull up the meter, and I'm like, well, there's a pipe, and then he's like, well, which way is it going? I describe. He's like, oh yeah, they just turned it off. You just need to turn it, you know, whatever it is, 90 degrees, and you have water. And then Monday, call and get your account, you know, and you're probably going to use like $2 of water. Well, I didn't have the tool. So my first job as a homeowner, like an hour into having keys, was going to Home Depot and buying a tool that I needed. And I needed to get the little water wrench, the like, you know, 2-foot black pipe with the red handles, and you turn it.
Yeah, the T-shaped wrench. Yes.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yep. So I went to Home Depot, bought that. It's like $15, and I had no clue that was going to be the beginning of going to Home Depot and walking out a little lighter in my wallet every stinking time. And that just kind of snowballed. Then it was like, oh, we want to put crown molding in here. Oh, we want to change the floors. Oh, we want to put better trim. Oh, we want to put tile. We want to paint. And I found that I really enjoyed. One, we couldn't afford to pay other people to do it. So we would save up money and then do the project. So for like Christmas, I asked for an air compressor and a nail gun. And so I got the air compressor and a nail gun, the little Porter cable kit Home Depot always sells. And then, you know, for 6 months, I worked on crown molding, which was terrible. It's a terrible thing for a beginner to do. It's so frustrating. And that's kind of how I just got into it. I didn't realize the potential until 2012 or 2013. I was planting our church downtown, and I needed to make money because we started with nothing and nobody. And so I was freelancing as a graphic and web designer. It's kind of one of my skills that I have. And I was at a co-working space, and you could pay $50 to go to the space a month. You get internet, free soda and coffee, and you could work with other nerds. It was called Geekdom. That's the name of it. I think it's still open. And but the desks you worked on were these $50 IKEA, like white tops with 4 black plastic legs, and they had like 100 of them. And I'm sitting there trying to do creative work, and I'm like, this desk stinks. So I made a desk, just black welded, like 1x1 black frame with, I think I just put like plywood on the top and stained it. It was terrible. People would come into my office to hire me to make them a website or a video. They would see my desk and be like, that's different. And they said, where'd you get that? I say, I made it. Say, could you make me one? I was like, sure. And this like, how much? I don't know, $400. Like, deal. And people started paying me to do that instead of what I was actually there to do. And so that kind of snowballed into like, well, maybe I should make furniture, which then went on the whole trajectory of learning how to price yourself, because building desks for $400 is not running a business. It's running a charity. You don't make any money doing that.
You got into the trap of the Home Depot being your muse, huh? Every time you went there, you were dreaming about what and all you could buy.
Yeah. I've lost count of the days where I've walked down every aisle and just, what do they have and where is it at? And it's brilliant, but they've there's a reason why the owner of Home Depot owns a football team. You know,
yeah,
an NFL
no
team.
Kidding.
They got to get our money.
So there's a few comments. So let's jump over to some of those. First of all, Woodcraft by Simon says, Will is the guest tonight. Is there an inside joke there I've missed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this guy, I love Suman.
Suman's awesome.
So I forget what it was, but we were talking on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, Will, where did you get these?" or something. And I thought it was a typo. And I thought he meant to say, "Hey, Witt," because sometimes people just call me by my last name, which is kind of cool. So I thought he just had fat thumbs. Sorry, buddy. And so then I figured, like, he might think my name's Will, and it turns out he thought my name was Will. How do you get Will from Drew? I don't know. Anyways, so I politely said, "My name's Drew. Did you send this to the wrong person?" And he's like, "Oh, this is awkward." So it became an inside joke. So we call each other Will. And inevitably, this happens in public, and then people are confused, and then the question is asked, and then the story is told. So I actually, Suman, I don't know if you have this picture still, but I took a screenshot of his profile, and I went into Photoshop, and I erased everything that said Suman, and I changed it to Will, Woodworking by Will, or whatever it is. And then I sent it to him, and I said, "I'm not a part of your system. I know that your name is Will." And yeah, we just like to have fun with. There's probably a Will out there super offended that we're using his name as comedy.
Yeah, Suman's been on here before, and he and I have communicated quite a bit. He's a good guy. But
he's all right.
I didn't understand about the Will part. I do
well,
now.
You know,
I do now.
Another joke about that is we joke about titles. About we offline make fun of how the dumber the title, the more views you get. Have you noticed that? Like,
yes.
You know, okay. So and I'm friends with Eric Spenceley, and so he rags on it. It's a people may not understand, they may not get that behind the scenes, a lot of us create will talk and we just make fun of the dynamics that if I put rigid versus Festool shot vac, I'm not going to get a whole lot of views. If I put this video would make you a lot of money, it's almost at 500,000 views. It's stupid, right? So, so he has a great video on threaded inserts. Has like over 100,000, maybe more. Blew up, and it has one of these clickbaity titles. So I put in the comment, I put clickbait title because that's what people say. Unsubscribed. He knew it was a joke, and man, people went after me.
Oh.
And so all these people are like talking. Some are like going after Suman. I hate clickbait. Some are like, it's not clickbait. I thought, Drew's the worst offender. Why is he mad about it? And like me and Suman are just laughing because like we're messing, we're having fun, and people think we're being serious. So.
Oh, sure.
Joy. It comes back to joy. Anytime we can get joy out of this. I don't know, Suman. Am I spilling all the beans? Are you going to unfriend me for this? He might.
Yeah, no big
loss.
He's
in the chat. Oh, deep cut.
Dad Cave says, Jared over there says, gearing up to start. This is his milestone. Gearing up to start selling at my first maker's market in 2 weeks.
That's
all
awesome.
Right. You
big step.
You're going to sell the shot skis or the bottle openers. What are you selling over there, Dad Cave? That's cool. Matt over at 731 says, I thought Wittworks was a lawn channel.
He would say that. He's a good friend. Do you want the story behind that? It's a good lesson for people.
Yeah.
So when I started, I used to be into lawn care. I now don't like it. I've given up. Mostly because the creative energy I'd put into my lawn, I now put into YouTube. So I just don't have the bandwidth. But people every week would walk by our house and say, how do you like your fake grass? And it was like, this is real. And I had a really, really nice golf course quality yard, all from YouTube. The Lawn Care Nut, John Perry, it's not hard. Okay. So I'm making woodworking stuff and I'm going to dethatch my lawn. I won't get into what that is, but my wife says, hey, you should do a video on how to dethatch your lawn since you're doing it. And I was like, okay. I was like, I really don't want to. I want to focus on woodworking. She's like, so anyways, I do this video, I shoot it with my phone, no special lighting. It's like, it would not pass my quality standards, but I did it. When I uploaded it, I'm like 2 or 3 months into the channel. I may have had 30 subscribers. RT, it got 100,000 views. It got me my watch. It got me my watch time. It got me my 4,000 hours watch time and got me on the way to monetization. And my wife's like, told you. And so I started doing both. I started doing both stuff. And I was really conflicted on, they say niche down, and I'm not really sure. Like, I know there are guys and gals who like workshop stuff and like lawn. And to be honest, it really killed my channel because I didn't have a focus. Strangely enough, I watched this show when you had John from Lincoln Street on. Yeah. I believe it was December of 2021. Yeah, mm-hmm. December 21. I watched it. And afterwards, I sent him a message. I took a bunch of notes. I still have them on my phone. I saw them the other day. And so you're a big part of what happened with my channel. You didn't know that. I sent him an Instagram message saying, hey, thanks for, here's what I'm taking away. I always liked it as a pastor when people like told me, hey, you helped me understand this, this, and this. Like, oh, you were paying attention and I was doing a good job. So I like to do that to people. I like to send them, hey, here's what I'm taking away. Thank you for helping me. I didn't expect a response. And so he messaged me. He said, hey, I took a look at your channel. Man, you got some real soul searching to do. Just like that. he's like, you need to pick a focus. I was like, John, come on, man. It was like the hard truth. But I knew he was right because I had been struggling with, I kind of like doing yard work, but I don't like filming it. And I love doing woodworking, and I kind of like filming it. And I was just, man, what do I do? And his hard, straight to the point advice was, you need to look inside and figure out what you want to make and just focus on it. I never made a lawn video after your podcast, after whatever this is, whatever you call it. That was the last time I made a lawn video was before I watched your stream with John because of what he told me. And it took a while, but a couple months later, the views started increasing, the subs started going. And what I think happened is YouTube started to define who my audience actually is. And I think I was confusing YouTube with saying my audience is lawn. No, my audience is woodworkers. No, my audience is track saw aficionados. No, my audience is people wanting to dethatch their lawn. And I was doing all this effort. I mean, staying up till 2 a.m, editing videos, and I'd get like 100 views on them. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And so now I think there's a lot of wisdom in like, pick what you want to make. And like, you don't want to go super niche. I think you got to balance this. Like, you want to appeal to a broad audience to get the browse and suggested views, but you need to serve the narrow audience. So ever since I started doing that, then in September, he sent me another message and he's like, your titles suck. I was like, come on, bro, come on. Can we take up an offering to send John to like a social skills school and how to
don't change John. Don't change John.
That's a total joke. That's a total joke.
Oh, I know.
And I'm frozen on my screen. And we're still good. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. Well,
and I can see you. You're moving.
Okay, good. Well, I'm frozen. I'll still keep talking. So he what I was doing for 20 months was literal titles like shop vac versus rigid or shop vac versus Festool. You know, I was just doing what it was. They were doing okay. And he's like, you need to experiment with non-literal titles. So he helped me I would bounce titles back. He's like, yeah, no, that's bad. That's bad. And he said, oh, that one's good. And that video is the one that's almost at 500,000 views. It got 100,000 views in a week. It got 200,000 views the next week. It got Festool's attention. I got a DM from someone that works at Festool, and they said, can we have your number? And I gave it to them. They called me 5 minutes later. I thought I was in trouble. And it was Jason, Bent, and Sedge. They were in the truck, and they said, dude, we saw your video. We loved it. We want to invite you to this event in February where Festool's announcing all their brand new lineup. Do you want to come? And
that's cool.
I would not have gotten that opportunity had it not been for John telling me your video titles suck. You need to be dumber in your titles. So shout out to John. I should probably buy him something Festool to pay him back for that.
Anybody watching this who is making videos on YouTube or is thinking about it, you should go back and watch that live stream. Not for the views. I don't really care about that right now. But if you want a lot of information in about an hour of investment, go back. Because I go back and watch that sometimes.
I do too. I do too. It's a gold mine. And
yeah, I need to have him on again. I need to get John back up here.
You should. He was I messaged him tonight. I messaged him tonight right before on. He wanted to call me, ask me a question. I said, I can't. I'm hanging out with RT. So I snubbed Lincoln Street for you, my friend. And I have no regrets. No regrets.
Let's see. Oh, wrong one. Well, not wrong one, but Matt is saying how proud he is of you. So,
oh man.
But I meant to click over here.
Thank you, Matt.
Because I saw Saman says, I thought this was a poor comedy channel. Now, That
Hey, I need to give some credit to Matt too. Matt was the first. I reached out to a lot of YouTubers and I got cold shouldered. I get it. I mean, I stopped. It's really hard for me to keep up. And I'm nobody. And I'm like, I can't, if I were to sit here and respond to stuff, I get nothing done. So, but Matt, I messaged Matt back in March when my church closed and I knew he was a Christian. And I said, man, buddy, here's what happened. I can barely think. I need some help, like to figure out. And he gave me his phone number and we spent like an hour on the phone. I took notes. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning because I just couldn't sleep. And I was looking through my notes and I saw, Matt, I'll take a picture later, sent to you, the notes that I had from the conversation I had with him back in March. And he just gave me some pointers and we probably text every day and we'll bounce video ideas and thumbnails and titles off each other. And he'll like promote a product I have and doesn't ask for anything in return. And just a great dude. I would not be in the mental space that I am now or have the traction I have without Matt. I can't wait to meet him at Workbench Con in person, give him a big hug. I won't kiss him, but I'll give him a big hug if he's a hugger. I don't know. He's a trooper. He might arrest me. He might tase me if I try to hug him, but I love that guy.
Yeah, Matt's great. I'm looking forward to Workbench Con.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, I love that. I'll hug you too.
I'll see you there. You know it, brother. All right. Yeah, David Corliss says, I found Drew's channel via Matt. I was hoping, is Damon on tonight? Damon, if you're watching, please give us a comment. Damon Barber, I saw on one of your videos where one of his comments was one of the ones you answered whenever you were talking about the track saw. And he's on here many Monday nights. So I was hoping he'd be
awesome. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So what I know you wanted to help others and you were finding your vision of what you're doing and everything, but what really drove you to YouTube and why you're pressing forward so much on YouTube?
You know, someone asked me this today, actually. I was on the Spence, the Off the Cut podcast a couple of weeks ago. They asked this and I said, for so long, I thought YouTube was for cat videos and porn. And since I'm not interested in either, I was never on YouTube until COVID. And with our church was renting a school and everything shut down and we had no choice. The school district kicked everyone out that they had. And we had no choice but to take our services online. And so the cheapest way to do that was YouTube. I hate Facebook, so we weren't going to do Facebook. And so I have a background in video, but I had never really messed with YouTube. And so I started to learn YouTube. I got on Think Media's channel and started to learn how do you start it? And it was to start a channel for the church so that we could record our stuff and distribute it. It was kind of our strategy. And so I learned YouTube by pivoting our church. And then a year into that, thought, hey, I should do this for woodworking. That'd be kind of cool. So I started running 2 channels, the church channel and then my woodworking thing. And the more I studied it and the more I studied what was happening, especially during COVID, is I learned the business of what's happening in content creation. And my opinion is that YouTube is I think we need to build our businesses with the thought in mind that YouTube might die. But I don't pay attention to TikTok and I really don't pay attention to Instagram and I don't pay attention to Facebook because I think YouTube is because it's tied to Google, because it's search based. I think it has more watch time than Netflix. there's YouTube TV. I just see I don't see YouTube going anywhere. I don't like Instagram because they're trying to chase TikTok. I think TikTok will probably get banned in the US sometime this year, and everyone who built their business on TikTok is going to be in a real world of hurt if that happens. I think Facebook is Facebook, but I think YouTube is, you can make evergreen content. It's searchable. You can go viral. You can grow slow. You can build a business behind it all. And if it is going to be a bit, it doesn't have to be, it could be a hobby, but for me, I needed a way to I didn't really feel called to sign back up for the pressure cooker of church ministry. I felt like I did 20 years and that the Lord said, well done, you can go do something else. And so I'm in the state of, I need to build a business to support my family, and I don't want to go clock in somewhere. I have the skills to do this. Let's give it a try. And thankfully, there's been so many people who have already figured it out, and they've laid out the blueprints, and it's just a matter of running the plays. You know, I'm thankful for guys like the Wood Whisperer and Steve Ramsey and David Picciuto and Matt and so many others. April Wilkerson, I love her. You know, Tamar, Katz Moses, just so many. The list is so long. Cam, of people who've been able to make their passion their living on YouTube, and I think all of those people they're entrepreneurs. They have a business behind it, and so that's what I'm trying to learn how to do this year.
You know, that's it's always tough, you know, and it's one of those things that we don't think that YouTube is going anywhere because it's so huge. But if you build a business with income that you're counting on and you build it just on AdSense through YouTube, it seems like a recipe for disaster, because this is their, it's their field, it's their ball. They could take their ball and go home at any point. They could cut off AdSense. So, I mean, if you're relying just on that and just on the leads from YouTube, I think you're right. I think you're setting yourself up for failure. But it's tough to diversify. What are you doing, if you don't mind sharing, for multiple streams of income?
Oh, okay. I'll answer that. Am I still live? I lost my StreamYard. Okay. I'm going to stare into
looking as good as you can look.
All right. Good. As long as you can see me and hear me. I can hear you. I can't see anything. So let me pull up. I can totally share. I think diversification is the name of the game, and you can't base everything off of AdSense or that stuff. So I have right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 active streams of income, and a 10th one that I haven't activated yet. Those are, number 1 is affiliates. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 different affiliates that I do. So maybe that's just 1. Maybe you can just count that as affiliate income. 2 would be Google AdSense. 3 would be Etsy. 4 would be my own Shopify store. Maybe you could put those 2 together and just say my own products. So maybe that's 3 streams, but I have 2 different ways of doing that. 4 is white label video production. I think an easy way to make money, if you can, you don't have to have a big following. If you're just proficient at making content, there are brands that are shaking in their boots because they feel left behind in this social media world, and they will pay you to make videos for their channel. And so I have done that, where I have white labeled a video. I've made a video and didn't show it on my channel and made it faceless and made it for another person, and they could run an ad with that. They could put it on their own website for their own products. or what they did is they put it on Instagram, they put it on their YouTube, and then they ran YouTube ads with it. And I charge them more for that than I would make off of YouTube or any affiliates. So if you're good at video production and you can do that, that's a great service that you could do. And you don't have to, it doesn't matter like what your following is. There's sometimes brands want you for your following, and sometimes it's like they want you for your skills. They just need someone to make a good video. Maybe they have the following, maybe they have the marketing reach, but they don't have like $50,000. So you can charge them $5,000. You're 1/10 of what it would cost them to do it, you know? And then another one is custom projects. I just finished up a big table, a custom conference table for a client. And I'm making that into a video. And then the one I haven't activated it is sponsors. I've not taken any sponsorship money yet, but after seeing Travis's video from Shop Nation on him making 60 grand in sponsorships this year, I'm looking real hard into the mirror, doing some soul searching. I think I need to get an agent, just because it's a lot of work to negotiate this stuff, and I'm not good at that. I don't know what rates are.
Yeah, I need to get Shop Nation on here one week. Everybody, next week we're going to have Newton Makes on, so come back again next week. But appreciate you sharing those income streams. Are there others you wanted to cover?
That's it. So there's like 11 line items, but I think if you boil it down into like-minded categories, it's 3 or 4 or 5. And they all fluctuate, but they all kind of average out to be good. And I, since October, I've been able to, my dream was, can I make, by next year, can I build this to where I can make as much as I was as a pastor? And I thought it would take me maybe a year to do that. In October, I made 1.5 times what I used to make as a pastor.
Oh, wow.
And then that doubled in November, and then it came back down. And so the last 4 months, October, November, December, January, these last 4 months, I've made more than I've ever made as a pastor. And the trick is, okay, how can I sustain this? How can I grow this? The summer will slump, I'm sure. So, we're doing our best to live frugally under our means, save a lot of money, while also investing in things like $700 track saws I don't need to make a stupid video, So it's kind of fun to figure all that out.
Yeah, I noticed you were spending money on those track saws, but you seem to have a plan on how you're going to make income besides just making the videos, right?
Yeah. So I make more money from my Shopify and Etsy store than I do affiliates and Google combined. Yeah. So I'll buy, I've already paid for that saw twice since Saturday. I posted that video Saturday. The AdSense has already paid for the saw, and I've already pre-sold the 3D printed accessories I could buy the saw again just from the pre-sale of early adopters. So the way I value investments is, can I make at least 10x off of this? So I bought the Craig track saw for $300, and I thought, well, can I make 3,000? I was like, I bet in a year I could sell $3,000 worth of 3D printed stuff for this, and I already have in maybe 3 months. Yeah. So all of those saws, even the Ryobi saw that I'm not a fan of. I bought it because I knew there's a big beginner market. They're going to buy this saw. I'm not going to like this saw. I know that, but I'm going to buy it. I'll make products for it, and the products will pay for it within the first week. So I take really good photos. I write really good descriptions. I bundle things together, and I work hard, but I think God has put His hand on it and has blessed me with it. And so I don't do any debt. Everything's cash, and we're able to get our investment back pretty quickly.
Yeah, you say you've worked hard, but God has guided you. God has let you work hard. He's enabled you to do that. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
There was a couple of comments from our buddy Saman. So why do you use blue light in your stage background?
Two reasons. One, it's my favorite color. But that's why I've always used it. Even when I was doing church set design, I always used blue. Every logo you look at all the graphic stuff I've made for 25 years. So blue is my favorite color. But recently I learned that I'm ashamed as a graphic designer, I really didn't know this, is high contrast images get our attention. If you look at the YouTube home screen, just like go to your YouTube home screen, what YouTube is suggesting to you, and just step back and just notice how a lot of the thumbnails will have high contrast. Look at Mr. Beast. Everything he does is high contrast. So with my skin tone, blue is the opposite on the color spectrum. If you look at a lot of movies, they'll use what's called orange teal. Like Mad Max is a great example. If you just Google image Mad Max movie, you'll see orange teal, orange desert, and then teal blue sky. The sky actually isn't that teal. They do all that in post production to make the contrast pump. So one of the reasons why I do that is it adds a little bit of contrast. And then a lot of the YouTube videos tend to look the same. And I'm a big fan of Think Media, and there's a quote on there that Sean always says, which is different is better than better. And my nature is to try to do things better than the next guy. And what I have realized on YouTube, at least, like I could do a better video in 4K with smooth gimbal and slider motion and music. And John can do a video where he doesn't even know what ISO or what an f-stop is, but he just does a different video, and look at the difference in our views, right? Different is better than better. And that's not saying John doesn't have good quality. I think one of John's secrets is he knows how to break from the pack, and he is probably the best at it in our space, I think. That's just one of the many reasons why he's great. So back to the blue light, I like Katz Moses. I like Wood Whisperer. I like Steve Ramsey. I like my buddy Matt. I like Travis. I like all these people, like Scott Walsh, brilliant. I like all these people, but they're all kind of using, natural lighting. That's great. So I was like, well, I'm going to turn my lights off, put a blue background, and put a blue color in the background, and I'm just going to be different. And I like it. First, I like it. It's my favorite color. But also, there's not a whole lot of like moody, cinematic, lit YouTube woodworking channels. So that's a way that I can differentiate myself. So that's kind of the two-part answer.
Yeah. So my question was going to be, it is a shop, right? You're not using green screen with a still picture in the background?
It's totally a shop. I had somebody comment. I did a video where I was showing myself making a YouTube play button for another creator out of scraps. And a guy wrote, "Oh, I didn't know you knew how to use all those tools. I thought it was just like a background." Like, what? No, it's actually my garage, So because of that comment, I'm like, challenge accepted. So the video that will hopefully release this week is a proper build video I've never done. And I'm going to show how to build a table and show you all the mistakes. I made like 20 mistakes.
Yeah. So it's, I said that because whenever you look at your screen, sometimes you look like there's so much depth between you and the shop behind you that it's kind of triggering to the eyes. Like, is that real?
Yeah.
So I've been looking for things to move around in the background.
Yeah. So part of that is the area that you see on screen. I have a shop tour that I did for the Wood Whisperer. You can see it is, we have like a 8-foot bump out that is like almost like a lean-to shed on the side of our garage. So that shop area actually sits, it's all the same building, or garage is detached, but it doesn't take up any of the car space. So we can pull in both our cars and my workshop is still there. And I just like nest everything into that space, pull out the cars, I can bring everything out and work. So there's there's like 8 feet of extra depth that most people wouldn't have if they had a 2-car garage. And then I put the camera on the far other end, like literally like just enough for me to get behind the camera to see. It's like right at the wall. And I'm just trying to get as much length as possible to, and then I shoot at a very low aperture, f2.8 for the nerds, and ISO 200. And that makes it all blurry, and it makes it look kind of cinematic and fake looking, I guess.
Not fake looking, just gives it some depth.
There you go.
So it looks good. It's very contrasting. I'll give it that it looks good.
Thank you.
So Simon says, can you tell us why editing is your favorite part of being a YouTuber?
Another joke. It's not.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be sarcasm.
I'm good at editing. I'm not proficient, and I get bored. I'm where I make my money is with my ideas, not with my clicking of the hand. And so, a lot of the videos I've done have taken easily a week to edit, sometimes more. The video, the Festool rigid shop vac video I did took 3 weeks to produce.
Oh, wow.
And I was so tired from that. About 2 days, I had edited the video and I was missing some B-roll shots. And I just had John's dumb voice in the back of my head that if I don't have B-roll every 5 seconds, the video is going to take. So I'm like out in my garage at like 9 at night, shooting all this extra B-roll that I didn't have. And my friend John Schieser from Huntington Builds texted me and said, "Hey, how's that video going?" I took him a picture and I said, "Final stretches. If this video tanks, I'm quitting." And he's like, "No, you're not." But I was so tired from doing that video that I was kind of shocked at the results of it. And I was like, man, I don't want to, the troll comments of people, "You didn't do this test right," which they all came. I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with all these people who are going to attack me because I didn't do it in their preferred method or whatever. So I almost didn't upload that video, which changed the channel. I mean, it changed that video changed the channel significantly. But the editing on that sucked. I am not lying. I spent 3 weeks, not like 3 weeks of my spare time, like 3 working weeks, like probably 120 hours editing that 20-minute video. It was 40 and I had to edit it down. And I left that video thinking, I cannot do this I cannot sustain this. Like, I hate this. Like, I know how to do it and I have the time to do it, but I hate sitting down at the computer and going, okay, now let's look through this clip. I don't like it anymore. I've done it for 20 years. I'm kind of burnt from it. So thankfully, RT, I was like seriously discouraged from this. And someone challenged me. They said, "Drew, because I said, well, when can I afford an editor?" And they said, "You need to pull the trigger on an editor right before you think you might be able to afford it." I was like, that's risky. But thankfully that video made me a couple of $1,000s, and I had some money to like, okay, let me try. And I tried one guy. I really didn't like him. He cost me like maybe $400 to edit a video. And I asked, "Can you match my style?" He said, "Yeah." And then he like did weird fonts and all these like drop shadow effects. And I'm like, no. Like, no. And then it would take like 2 days to hear back. And it was just terrible. And then, so I found another guy on Upwork, and I just was honest with him. I said, "Listen, here's three of my videos. Can you match this style?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's easy." and he was kind of into woodworking. And this is crazy, RT. I said, how long do you think it'll take you to make this type of, I sent him this video I did on a miter saw hack. It took me about a day to edit. He goes, oh, that took me 2 hours. I was like, what's your rate? He said, $40 an hour. I was like, you're hired. So okay, here's the crazy, and this may seem like a lot of money to people, but maybe it's not. Listen, okay, this video I did on the Milwaukee track saw, I ordered that in November, right after Thanksgiving when it came out. I forgot about it. I don't even know if they charged me then or if they charged me this week. I don't know, but I paid for this Milwaukee because I knew I was going to make products for it, and I might do a video. I wasn't sure. Excuse me, I had to burp. So I'm working on this table video, and then Thursday morning I get an email that says an item's out for delivery, and I'm like, what did I buy? I go to lunch, I come home, and my wife's like, there's a Milwaukee track saw in the living room. I was like, what? And so literally Thursday at lunch, I'm eating Chick-fil-A on my back porch, and I'm like, oh, the Milwaukee track saw's here. So I just took a picture of it. I think I took a picture of it. Maybe, I don't know if I did. And I just put a thing on YouTube on my community tab, said, hey, you have any questions? I might do an unboxing, maybe not. I was blown away by the questions. And I was like, well, maybe like I don't have the time to do a proper video like I'd want, where I just run it through the paces. But if y'all want an unboxing initial impressions video, that's easy. So people are like, yes, we'd love to. And all these things that I think you could get if you just like Google and read the press release. People are like, how much is it? What tracks does it? Like all this information you could get if you read. So Thursday night, after the kids go to bed, I go into my shop. I print out all the questions that came in, and I just answered all of them. I made 3 cuts. I went and got, before the lumber store closed, I went and bought a piece of hard maple for $50. It was 2 inches wide. And so I did this video. I uploaded it that night to this editor. He started working on it Friday morning at 5 a.m. By lunchtime, I had a first draft that was 98% good. I needed to do 2 tweaks to it, and then it was done. And he took 4 hours. He charged me $200. The point of that is, I turned around a YouTube video in 24 hours for $200. And right now, I don't even know. I haven't looked in a while. It has 78,400 views. And yeah. I've already paid for the saw, and I paid for the editing. So I'm not editing any more videos. That's a long answer to Simon's question, but because in my head I thought it's going to cost $1,500 a video. That's what I would charge. And I found someone who was like, "Oh no, I'm fast, I'm cheap, probably a young kid," and that was his rate. So there we go. Upwork.com.
He wants that paycheck. He wants that check to clear. So that's great. Now another thing I noticed. I'm changing topics on you again.
Hey, buddy, it's your show.
On your banner, you have the subscriber bar, and on that, I can tell like your initial goal here is 100K, 100,000, and it shows that you've got 22.2K currently. Some people would have different ideas about this. What motivated you to share that and put it out there as a goal?
It's complicated. On one hand, I don't think subscribers matter. Not the people. The people matter, right? But subscriber count is a vanity metric. And I think what's more important is view count. Because as anyone who's looked at analytics, you know, the 80-20 rule applies easily. Maybe it's 90-20. Like my videos, like 90% of my views come from non-subscribers, you know, and I think most channels the majority of their views come from people who aren't subscribed. So it's It's not really what it used to be. My opinion is the subscribe button is the like 2.0 button. So when you like a video, you hit like. If you don't like a video, you hit the dislike button. If you're foolish and you really don't like the video, you'll hit the dislike button twice, which is a joke because then it, undoes it. If you really like a video and you might want to see more, you hit subscribe. So on that sense, I don't put a whole lot of stock into subscriber number. However, brands who want to sponsor you do. So I am motivated to grow that just for the sake of increasing the value of the channel. That little banner is from, I think it's called Mercury Elements. It's a plugin that you can give access to your channel and they will update. Like I can design it and say, here's my milestone goals. And then they do it. So I don't update it. It's doing its thing. And, I just look at it. Oh, it's changing. So it's like probably in near real time update. At first that milestone was 10,000. And then I changed it to 15,000 and I changed it to 20,000. And I really wondered, is that even worth it? And I'd hear people say, they'd send me messages say, hey, just saw this video and I subscribed to help you reach your goal. And I was like, oh, so I have heard from people who it's encouraged them to subscribe because they see like, oh, he's trying to get there. I thought about taking it down because I don't know that it's super valuable to the audience. But I've left it up just because it kind of motivates me, but it also lets people know, hey, I'm trying to go somewhere with this. Now the reason why that is a goal, the 100,000 milestone is I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old who, if you ask them, what do you want to be when they grow up? They won't say firefighter, US president, or astronaut. They'll say they either want to be a YouTuber or they want to play in the Premier League. They want to play soccer. So the number one reason why I want to get a silver play button is I want to show my boys that you can do anything that you set your mind to, that you work hard at, and that you ask for God's blessing on. And so I don't know if they'll be YouTubers. I hope not. But if they are, I want to be a good dad and say, I'm going to show you how. Like, I'm going to show you the work that it takes. I'm going to show you the effort. I'm going to show you how you need to learn. I'm going to show you all these things. So that's kind of the reason why that is a goal. It's more to show my kid, like the day that thing shows up in the mail, I will turn that into one of the greatest parenting moments for my boys of look what can happen when you work hard for several years and you focus and you invest and you learn and you serve people and you give back and you do what other people aren't willing to do, pay the price other people aren't willing to pay. So that's kind of the goal. Yeah. Are you still there, RT? Oh, there you go. Okay.
Hello. Yeah,
can you hear me?
I was on mute. Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. I heard nothing in my ears, and I had this fear of what if my earbuds battery died, and I'm talking, and you're just talking over me, and I look like an idiot. So
no. It was my fault. I put it on mute for a moment. So I would rather see the bar like this with the 100,000 and the count of subscribers than if you'd put on there, please subscribe. I think this is much more interesting. I think it's eye-catching. Okay. For me, it was a curiosity factor because I wondered if you're so entrenched that you're updating this thing daily, with counts, or you found an automated way to do it.
I think it's called, let me look it up. It's called it's streamelements.com, I think is what it's free. I don't pay for it. It's just a free. It's called Dynamic Banner. Yeah. So if you Google Mercury, Mercury for YouTube Stream Elements, it's free. You connect it. That's the only scary thing is you got to give it like access to your channel. But it's the same thing you would do for TubeBuddy, where vidIQ, you know how you give them access.
Oh, yeah.
And then you build a banner, and I give them permission to change the banner. So yeah, I don't update it. I never think about it. It's more for people to see, and it happens automatically.
Yeah. So this has been great. Whenever you go to Workbench Con, what are you looking to get out of that this year?
Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to learn. I'm a guy who's like, I'm going to sit down and take notes. I'm going to honor. I mean, I spent 20 years public speaking, and so I feel like it's my duty to honor whoever's talking by paying attention and taking notes, whether I like what they're saying or not. So I'm going to go be a student, but I think the greatest value is going to be meeting all of you wonderful people in person, making friends, getting even more inside jokes with people, and just becoming more entrenched in this community that I love. That's been so opening and graceful to me. So that's I've never I've talked with Matt on the phone 3 or 4 times. We text a lot, but being a person, it's just different, as we learned with Rona. Like, you can do virtual friendship, but there's nothing like the incarnation of like flesh and bone in the same room. There's nothing beats that. So that's my big takeaway is I want to see just how crazy is Suman in person. I just would like to know that.
Absolutely. I'm in on that. Finding out about Suman. Let me put out there, everybody, if you're watching this and you've enjoyed it tonight, please hit that like button. Come back and watch the live stream again, and so you can leave a comment and let Drew know how much you appreciate him taking the time away from his family to come and be with us as part of the woodworking community. There's a collaboration coming up, Makers Rock, and everybody in it is making a wooden or artsy representation of a rock album or some kind of album. I selected a Hall & Oates album because I'm a 80s geek, but I used to enjoy their music more than I do now, and I look forward to that collaboration.
Oh, that's cool.
And hopefully we can get more of that. Next week, Newton Makes is our guest. And so I know you're on Instagram. Are you on Facebook?
I have a Facebook account. I don't get on. I don't even know what my password is, honestly. I have one. My wife is on. I have one mostly for Marketplace. Sometimes I'll go in there and see, like, is there a drum sander I can get cheap, or is anyone selling their Festool sander that they don't know what they have? That's the only reason why I still have it. I don't really spend a whole lot of time on Instagram, other than I read a book called oh man, do I have it? I might have it. It's called Show Your Work by Austin. I forget his last name. Show Your Work is the name of the book. And basically it's like, just take a picture of whatever you're working on in the moment. Don't stylize it. Just at the end of every day, just take a picture of what's on your bench. Show your work. And it's just like, yeah, be honest, be authentic. So that's what I do for Instagram is I'll just do stories, or I'll do a picture of like what's happening right now. I don't really produce reels or do anything like that. I don't care how many followers I have. And then it's my phone. It's how people DM me and how I connect with people. So that's probably 80% of it is people DMing me, and the other 20% is just showing my work in the moment. So yeah, I'm like 95% focused on YouTube as far as the social media stuff is.
Yeah. Go all in on YouTube. That's
I think
that's
so.
where it is.
I think so.
413 Furniture, thank you. He says, I really needed this live tonight. Thank you, RT and
Oh
Will.
man. There you go. Can someone make a shirt that says like Will or I'm thinking of I was telling John this today. I might show up to Workbench Con with a shirt that says, I don't get why Eric Spenceley titles his videos like this. And I'm thinking of showing up with a shirt like that. But it'd be fun to like show up with a shirt, something with Will, or I don't know. It'd be funny. We gotta workshop that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse.
No, you need I can see you in like one of those security jackets with the name Will on it. Yeah.
There you
Walking
go.
around.
Yeah. Okay. If I promise you, I'm not going to start a podcast, but in an alternate universe, if Suman and I ever started a podcast, it would be called Will Call. That's what we would do. And it would be a call-in show where you call in and talk to me and Suman. Will Call. What do you think, Suman? You think that would work?
Suman, I'm in. You can do it right on this channel, and we'll have a special night called Will Call. And I'll run the background software and let you two be on screen the whole time.
Okay, good. Yeah. As long as I don't have to do anything, I'm happy to show up and talk. As long as I don't have to produce anything. As I said, I don't like editing anymore. I'm retired. I'm a retired pastor. I'm a retired editor.
All right, Suman, let me know if you're in, and we'll get it set up. I think it'd be a fun night. We'll set up. We'll have people log in audio only, since we won't do phone calls. We'll actually just have them log in on their phones audio only, and ask you questions. And between the two of you know everything there is to know about cameras and video production. You should be able to answer all the questions.
Dude, you know what? This is actually not a bad idea. This is not a bad idea.
Yeah. So we're having a brainstorming session. Just if this turns into something big, just keep it off on Monday nights, because we got Monday nights great right
here. For sure, man. I'm not going to compete.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We one of the greatest things about YouTube is the connections we get to make with so many creators. I can't imagine being a creator in the world today and not having all these connections on YouTube. I know they're long distance connections. Sometimes it's just leaving a comment on somebody's video, but I really feel like the whole woodworking community is very supportive of each other. And some people might be competitive, but and I know on YouTube we're kind of competing for the same eyeballs watching us, but it's all supportive. We're I think just about everyone that I've met long distance, we've been willing to encourage and share with each other, and I love the community.
Man, I do. Can I read you a comment that was sent to me by a friend in the lawn care space? He sent this yesterday. He said, dude, I've been diving deep into the analytics of woodworking YouTube the past few days, and I've come to the conclusion that these woodworking guys totally get the whole YouTube game. They are masters at creating enticing thumbnails, titles, jumping right into their content. Makes me wonder why lawn YouTubers are so behind the curve. And he's a lawn YouTuber. And I thought, that's true, but I think what's even more true is what you said, which is there's this, at least what I've felt, there's like this loving community where people they can be themselves, but we embrace it and we help each other out. And I love that. It's so great. I don't know if other niches have that. I'm sure they do, but that's what I love about this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we go, I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I'm going to let you go. If someone was starting a YouTube channel today, what advice would you give them?
Oh, okay. I think I would give I have strategic advice and I have technical advice. The strategic advice would be study how to be a psychologist, because the more you understand the audience you're trying to reach, like forget trying to do what Mr. Beast does, forget trying to be Joe Rogan or whatever. You need to get inside the mind of the audience that you want to reach, and you need to know everything about them. And all of those there's like thousands of little details that all will make up why your content would resonate with them. For example, I have several of my subscribers. I have their phone number, and I always run video ideas by them. And I was going to title the video that I did on this vacuum that I've talked about, "Don't show this video to your wife." Okay, because the video basically is like, you don't necessarily need to spend money on this Festool dust extractor when a shop vac gets really, really close. And the premise would be, if you show this to your wife, she wouldn't let you buy the Festool, right? And they all came back with, "I don't need to ask my wife to buy a tool." And so I thought I was being clever and funny, but they were like, "You're insinuating that I need my wife's approval to buy a tool." Now you can have a debate on that all day long, but that's how they felt.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you need to become a psychologist and understand what makes them angry, what makes them happy, what makes them filled with joy, because you might title a video or even do a video that you think is going to resonate, and you might trigger them and like turn people off. So I'd say strategically, the person who understands their customer or their audience best is going to win. Not the person who has 4K, not the person who has an editor. The person who understands who they're trying to reach the best is going to win. Okay, so then the technical advice would be, use your phone, assuming you have an iPhone. You don't need a 4K Sony like I have. Use your phone. The 100,000 view detached lawn video I made that I had when I had 30 subscribers, I use my phone. So you don't need a crazy amount of camera. I would get a really, really good wireless microphone. This is what I have. It's a Deity. I forget what it is. It's like $200, super clean. I don't know that it's going to focus because my eyes are in the way. Sorry. Yeah, get a good like audio. There's a saying in Hollywood, half the image, half of the image quality is lighting and the other half is audio. And what they mean by that is you can have if you give me an SD standard definition camera, I can make it look better than your 4K camera because I know how to light. So lighting's half the image. The other half of the image is actually not the image, it's the audio. So I would say technologically, use your phone, get good clean sound, and invest in a high quality daylight temperature, 5,600 Kelvin LED light. The bigger, the better, because the lighter or the bigger the source, the softer the source. When you and you want soft, that's one of the things they don't know what they're saying, but when they say your lighting looks so good, what they're saying is my lighting is soft. It's because I have a 36-inch softbox that's like just out of frame, and it looks natural, right? So this light's actually kind of harsh. It's a little bitty light far away. So I would focus on learn how to do soft lighting. It's not that hard. You can watch 2 YouTube videos and you can spend $200. Get a $200 Deity wireless mic, use your phone, and become a psychologist. And learn how to tell a story. And get straight into the point. No more, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. But just get straight into it. No hand waving. That's what I'd say. You master that, you'll be well on your way.
That's good advice. Well, Will, we appreciate you being here.
I love it.
No, Drew,
Simon, you dirtbag.
Apologize to your wife that we've kept you so long, but I appreciate you. If you ever need me, reach out. You know how to contact me.
Yeah, man, it's such an honor to be with you. This is my second podcast that I've ever been invited on, so I'm just that anyone would listen to me talk is an honor. It's really dumb. So thank you.
Have been requested by multiple people.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's the honor is mine. Thank you for coming on. Right now, I got to go. I
Yeah.
hear my wife calling.
See you, bro.
And I think it's easier for people to look at my story, for example, or anybody like in a similar story, and think that that was an easy decision. And I can't state how much that was a very hard decision for both my wife and I.
You know, I still do some from time to time now.
Okay. And what led you from that into video creation on YouTube?
Boredom.
What's the next step? What is the next thing? What's going to get you to that next place?
It wasn't like YouTube's good and, you know, this and that. Like, I was still pretty new to YouTube and didn't know that that was sustainable long term. And so it was a gamble. And I'd worked for a long time to get in the position I was at. And it was a very, very hard decision to basically give that up for, you know, potentially the rest of my life.
With me being a business-minded individual and trying to make sure that I'm providing for my family, but also always growing.
It's really kind of sad because I didn't get involved even when he was doing the noodle boards. He pretty much did all that. I did everything in the house so that he could stay in the shop a lot.
I am a little conflicted, I think. It initially started off with just sharing like my sewing machines and sewing tips and stuff like that. And then it kind of morphed into sharing the Mastering Mayhem merch items that I was making. And then along the way, I kind of shared some DeWalt tool and obsessions that I've had.
Hats off to Ira. I mean, I can't imagine doing it with small kids. That's a lot of work.
Well, this is a little chaotic, so.
My part really didn't start until Live Edge started. When we started Live Edge, I don't know, I felt different about everything. It felt real to me. I think everything started feeling real to him, you know, after the first few months because he was in the shop. It didn't really feel real to me until Live Edge started. And now I see this as my future too. I don't think I'll be a teacher much longer.
Because I wasn't quite niched enough, but I think because my channel name is I Don't Even Work Here, I think I'm just going to roll with.
I'm going to put out some shorts for staging. Staging is simply where you make the piece of furniture or the item, whatever it is, if it's, you know, wall decor, whatever it is that you're making. It's just where you simply make it look like it belongs in a home.
I never even considered the second channel. I just think that all of my content needs to go where I am.
I'll always be that individual that loves YouTube, that always wants to do extremely detailed videos on how to build.
I was living in Charleston. This was back in, we're talking 2013, March 19th, 2013 was when I posted my very first video.
So think about what the kid actually wants. Try to come up with projects that are quick wins. Sometimes it's not even really hammering something or sawing something. Sometimes it's just simply gluing a couple things together and then painting it. Like, think like a kid.
I had talked to a lot of people in the area trying to find a woodworkers group. People that were building stuff. Didn't even have to be woodworking, there just wasn't much of it. So a friend of mine suggested making videos on YouTube to reach out to other, meet other woodworkers, reach out to other people who were building things. And so I started checking it out, and that was really cool. I saw, back then it was Steve Ramsey, Mark Spagnolo, Laney Shaughnessy, and of course Matt's Basement Workshop. And they were kind of, those are really the four guys. I call them the four fathers. They're the four guys that really started the woodworking DIY thing on YouTube. Those were the guys that started it all. And then there was Matthias Wandel and John Heinz came along. And about the same time, Jimmy DeResta had started his thing, Bob Claggett, and I started about the same time, roughly within a year span there. We all started right around the same time, and it was just fun and exciting. I put a video up. It was the worst video that's ever been posted to YouTube. If you're hard on your videos, go check out my very first video ever. You won't feel so bad, I promise. But people commented, and I was interacting with them, and I took like another 2 months and I put up another video, and it happened again. People were, commenting and talking, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And between at those points, I was watching a lot of YouTube. It was ridiculous. I had done a lot of fishing because I had a lot of free time. So I've been fishing and watching YouTube videos. And I kind of saw that there was this gap in the market of things that, just these in the industrial side of making or furniture or other things, you tend to see a lot of things that you don't see in the DIY side. And there's a lot of adaptations that I saw that were possible. So I took a lot of my knowledge from that side of the world and kind of adapted it to the DIY and just started doing a lot of crazy and wild things that people hadn't seen before on equipment that wasn't designed for it, but it worked.
I've had them different times throughout the course of 14 years for different projects and different things that I'm working on. Right now, the team members behind the scenes all have to do with my online courses, but everything else, as far as what I do for my channel, it's just all me.
Doing the research is not necessarily going to be the fun part, right? And we had Mr. King on here a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about the research he did before he released a single YouTube short. Well, the research he did led him to putting together a video less than a minute, but there was many, many hours of research before that, but it led to 5 million views. So research can be very important. This is counterintuitive to a lot of the suggestion out there on YouTube where everybody says, just hit record. Just go out in the garage and hit record. And your viewpoint seems to be different than that. What do you say to those people that say, just hit record?
I'm glad you brought it up, RT. There's a lot of, I call them talking points that have manifested themselves for whatever reason in the how to grow space. The just hit record is probably one of the ones that drives me the most insane. I mean, you can go out and just hit record, but again, set your expectations for what you think the output and the end result is going to be. You get out of things what you put into them, and you may get lucky and you might catch a unicorn, but I'm going to bet 9 times out of 10, if you just go out and you hit record, you don't do any research, you don't have a plan, you don't have a rough script, you don't have a target audience, you don't have value that you're looking to provide. Again, I just think you're setting yourself up for unneeded frustration when a little prep and work up front can pay extreme dividends in the end. And you don't get a do-over when you post the video. Once it goes out into the interwebs, it's done. And you can't go back and redo the same topic right away because then you look like a goof.
I'm inspired by this guy. It's a little not fair because he does have a bigger, larger channel, but he has a smaller woodworking channel that's done pretty well this past year as well as in 2020. And his name is Robert Dunn.
Authenticity is something that I strive for all the time. I always try to just be myself, but everybody always says that. They always say, well, when you're on camera, just be yourself. But as soon as the camera goes on, you're never really yourself because you're always aware of the image that you're projecting, and then you're going to refine that further when you're editing it. At best, I think most of us are only, at best, maybe 80 to 90% ourselves. There's always that part that's carefully curated.
And he's hilarious. I think he is one of the best people in front of a camera in our space. His bigger channel is a car channel. I'm not going to kind of focus on that, but under Dunn, he has made a handful of videos this past year. Not nearly as many as he made in 2020, but he still racked in quite a few views. Especially, he had some videos over 100,000, some over 500,000. And what I really want to emphasize with Robert Dunn, even if you watch his Aging Wheels channel or Under Dunn, his woodworking channel, is his confidence, relaxation, and charisma. And it might come naturally to him, but I believe that everyone can work on charisma, and they can look at someone like Robert Dunn and get inspired.
And as far as working to become more natural on camera, that's just time. You just keep doing it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get at it. And I do think it's important to, as much as I'm not really a fan of saying having the avatar behind the camera, I do think it helps to imagine that you're actually talking to somebody who will be watching the video. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you see numbers of people watching, but you forget that these are actual people watching your video on their phone or on their TV or wherever. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.